It turns out my daughter did try to throw a lamp yesterday. My wife and I team up to take on some of the best things streaming has to offer. Welcome back for more of Our Thoughts. No time for binging. We continue through the Umbrella Academy Season 1, this time with Episode 8, entitled, I Heard a Rumor. Make sure you like and subscribe, share this video with someone who might like it, and hit that notification bell. We begin on Allison driving towards the cabin to some old-timey music. The scene of her driving makes it feel like an old 1950s movie. Flashback. But only 1 year, to Allison telling her daughter Claire a story so she can go to sleep. Wife wonders if the powers that the children possess can be inherited by the next generation. Claire wants to hear the story of how the Umbrella Academy foiled a robbery at the museum. In that animated story, which was awesome, there is no Five. He's gone at this point. But there was Ben, still rocking his Cthulhu power. Claire keeps begging for another story because she doesn't want to go to bed. And as a parent, I can tell you the accuracy of kids doing anything to avoid going to sleep. I can also tell you the accuracy of most parents not looking like Allison at that time of day. We're a bit more disheveled. This is when Allison uses her rumor power on her daughter, and her husband catches her. My thought is this probably isn't the first time she's used her power on her daughter. Wife adds that her husband knew what she did. He did not look very surprised. Allison keeps driving and all these voices keep going through her head, where she remembers using her power to get things that she wants. Even at one point, I heard a rumor that you love me. Did she marry her husband just because she rumored him? The show title reveal on a billboard for a tax company. We got you covered. Allison gets to the cab, and again with the sneaking around. What is her deal? You're the worst, Allison. A bird flies out. What a twitcher. But Vanya and Leonard are not there. They're at the hospital. Leonard wakes up Vanya and just wants to get out of the hospital. He's trying to get out as soon as possible before being discharged. He also mentions that he's getting the prosthetic eye soon. How? The eyeball place burnt down. Apparently, 2 of the drunk morons from the night before are dead, with 1 left alive. I've got a bad feeling about that guy. I mean, considering the vibe that I'm getting from Leonard. The mentioning of the prosthetic eye has led to a discussion debate about the role of time travel in this universe between my wife and I. Wife believes that this universe is not a closed time loop. For the record, a closed time loop means whatever happens is what was supposed to happen. My wife points to a My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episode from season 2 entitled It's About Time, where there is a great example of a closed timeline as the core subject of the episode. I concur that this episode was wonderful. Wife wants me to point out spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert for a My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. But wife believes that time travel in this world would actually create a split timeline. She believes that in one timeline, there's the destruction that Five found that is still going to happen. But when Five comes back in episode 1, it creates the new timeline split, where they can prevent that destruction from happening. Evidence? Five comes back with the eyeball that he found in Luther's hand in the original destruction. But by coming back, this led to Hazel and Cha-Cha eventually burning down the eyeball place, thus not allowing the eyeball to be made in the first place. But Five still has the eyeball. How is this possible unless there are split timelines? This isn't Back to the Future, where the eyeball that Five has fades from existence. The desired outcome of this season is to prevent the destruction in this prime timeline, the one that we're currently watching. But that would involve abandoning the other split timelines. The more I think about it, a split timeline seems more plausible, but only from a scientific perspective. But the Back to the Future rules of time travel feel much cleaner, regardless what happens in those other split timelines. The key is, don't think about it. Wife and I then spend the next few minutes debating whether a closed timeline is possible, and perhaps Five is the one that actually ended up assassinating Kennedy after having abandoned that task in the first place. I also suggested a Bill and Ted version of time travel rules, but wife laughed at me until she was red in the face. San Dimas high school football rules? Luther wakes up in bed next to the girl that he was making out with the night before. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. party? Classic Klaus with a bell, to which he continues ringing to celebrate Luther's first time with a girl. Klaus announces a family meeting to Luther, which is a hilarious tables turned moment. Klaus has made coffee, specifically French press coffee. Who do you have to kill to get a decent cup of coffee? 5. What kind of coffee have you normally been drinking? Clearly not good coffee, because French press is delicious. Diego's in jail. Allison's at the cabin. But they have a quorum. Quorum is when the minimum number of members of an association are present to make the proceedings of that meeting valid. Klaus, who is sober, tells them that he conjured Sir Reggie the night before. Klaus tells them Sir Reggie killed himself. Luther just won't believe it. Pogo comes in to confirm that his CGI is indeed distracting, but also to confirm that, yeah, Sir Reggie killed himself. And Mom and Pogo helped. Pogo says it was Sir Reggie's dying wish to try and get all the children back together. Vanya and Leonard at the cabin. Vanya has this inner struggle of not understanding her power and not being able to control it. Leonard seems to be the one in control of this situation. Creepily, wife says that Vanya is the power that Leonard never had, and by controlling her, it's almost like it's his power. Hazel and Agnes are stuck in traffic. They're going to a vegan donut shop. Seriously, even without advanced technology, they found a way to ruin donuts. Why would anyone do that to a perfectly good donut? Agnes believes they have all this time to see all these places. Hazel has to tell her, right? Allison is also stuck in this traffic. The traffic is in front of the restaurant where Vanya wrecked those guys. What is with these coincidences? And then Allison finds Vanya's scarf? Come on. Allison's insane luck continues. Allison manages to get some extra information out of the local cop because she's a movie star. She's really refusing to use her power. She's committed to that since rumoring her daughter. Diego in jail talking to Guy Detective. At this point, I don't think I want to know his name. After a weird, boring, confusing, contentious conversation, Guy Detective hands Diego the keys to get out of jail. Back at the cabin, Vanya practices the violin while Leonard reads up on Sir Reggie's journal. Flashback to Sir Reggie instructing Vanya on how to control her power by resonating these glasses with her mind. Her memory must have been wiped to not remember all of this. Leonard is trying way too hard to take on the role of Sir Reggie / mentor for Vanya. She's starting to remember how she felt the night before when she wrecked those guys. Vanya believes it to be terrifying. Leonard finds it extraordinary. Klaus is knitting. I once attempted to make a cross stitch. This is as far as I got. I've been saying I'd get back to it for about the past 12 years. 5 comes in telling Klaus that they're gonna go save the world. Diego runs into his room to get some supplies. Where have you been? Jail. 2 days until the end of the world. Flashback voiceover to Sir Reggie talking about a training day with Vanya where her powers went way too far. After Sir Reggie yelled at her. In the flashback, all of the glasses shatter, including Sir Reggie's monocle. Why does present-day Vanya not question Leonard on why he's so adept at training her to use her power? Vanya uses her power and the wind blows. Leonard guesses her abilities are tied to her emotions. Her power is to convert sound into energy. Wife and husband thought. When Sir Reggie got cut by the glass earlier, he was bleeding below his left eye. Leonard's right eye was the one that was damaged. These two men, Sir Reggie and Leonard, are attempting to teach Vanya how to control her power. But they have drastically different desired outcomes. Sir Reggie is attempting to train the children to save the world, whereas Leonard is training Vanya for his own psychotic motives. The men, with opposite eye injuries, are opposite sides of the same coin. Luther at the bar. Did you guys see the missing person poster for Helen's show? First chair lady. I'm fairly confident they printed new flyers for Vanya's orchestra performance before they printed flyers proclaiming that first chair girl was missing. Diego, 5, and Klaus show up at the bar in an attempt to get the band back together. But Luther's done with all of it. But Diego convinces Luther to come with them when he tells him that Allison went to the cabin to find Carol Jenkins by herself. The band is almost complete. Now that jab at first chair lady seems a little inappropriate. Gritty's diner. Cha-Cha shows up with a bloody hand because she had to escape being handcuffed. Agnes left a goodbye note. What about all the the supplies in the donut shop? The leftover donuts. All the lights being left on. Is she nuts? Cha-Cha's gonna teach her a lesson by blowing the place up with gas and a pink flamingo candle. Ooh, guys, don't look at explosions. They blow things up and then walk away. Hospital with the drunk moron who survived Vanya's attack. Allison and small town cop are there. The guy explains that the drunk morons were paid off by Leonard to rough him up in front of his girlfriend. They didn't know that Vanya was going to wreck them. Allison gets some extra info out of the guy. Again, why not use your power? Vanya and Leonard, hey, where'd you go? That is such a dumb line. Leonard is gung-ho about Vanya practicing her power, but Vanya wants to practice the violin. It strikes me now that Leonard would make a good Bond villain with his missing eye. Hazel and Agnes show up at the motel. Hazel then gives some kind of an excuse to leave because he has something to take care of, but he'll be back for her? There are plastic pink flamingos on the grass. That's the second pink flamingo reference in this episode. This motel is weird. Meanwhile, Cha-Cha is on her way to the bird sanctuary to kill Hazel and Agnes. Vanya says, hey, I'm feeling kind of hungry. Did you throw away my sandwich? And my wife is utterly disgusted at the prospect that someone would throw away a perfectly good sandwich. Waste not, want not. Vanya freaks out at the banging noise in the cabin and she runs through looking for Leonard. This leads to a flashback of Vanya and Sir Reggie. He brings young Vanya deep down below the mansion where he's created a place where she can regulate her power. It's basically a locked, padded room, and she is terrified. Wife points out that the room was soundproof so she couldn't use her power, and I'm the dolt that didn't make that connection. Back to present day, and Vanya freaks out. She finds solace in playing the violin. Do you think that Sir Reggie knew that the violin would help focus her power? Better question. Did Sir Reggie ever have plans for helping Vanya control her power when she got older? Or was her being medicated a once and for all solution? Back at the hospital, the surviving drunk moron has gone missing. You know that Leonard got a hold of him? That hospital is terrible security. Allison got word that Vanya's back at the cabin, so she goes to the cabin and finds the winds blowing. She finds Vanya inside. Allison's trying to come to grips with learning that she has power, but also needs to explain to her about Harold Jenkins. Vanya doesn't want to believe it. It's the one guy that she's ever had that believes in her. And from Vanya's perspective, it's Allison trying to take it all away. Vanya is an emotional wreck. Flashback to Vanya in the basement cell. Allison is remembering everything that we've wondered about. And there's the medication given by Mom to calm Vanya's nerves. The other kids never knew that Vanya had power. Sir Reggie told the rest of them that she was sick. After being coached by Sir Reggie, Allison uses her rumor ability to convince Vanya that she is just ordinary. This is crazy! Sir Reggie was seriously scared of Vanya's prospective power. Vanya begins freaking out on Allison. Her emotions are at a fever pitch. Her power is resonating through every inch of this place. There is distracting saliva in the corner of Vanya's mouth. Allison attempts to stop all this chaos and destruction by using her rumor ability, only to be cut off, literally and figuratively, by a swipe of Vanya's violin bow. This is the first time Allison's used her power since using it on her daughter, and she got her throat slit. Blood pours out of Allison's neck as Leonard shows up to pull Vanya out of there. My wife then asked me if I saw Leonard's face when he came into the room. He was smiling and laughing like his plan was working. Leonard is pleased with himself. As they get out, we see the last drunk moron dead under a tarp. Meanwhile, Diego, Luther, Klaus, and Five are driving to the cabin. Five driving is laughable and adorable, but he's such a cranky old man. Ask me again and I'll burn you with the cigarette lighter. They get to the cabin to discover Allison in a pool of blood. I'm guessing she's still alive by the eyes twitching? Luther, pick her up and take her to get medical help instead of just crying and cradling her body. And the quiet game has apparently run its course with my kids. Time to wrap up. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And join us next time as we review episode 9 entitled Changes. Changes. Turn and face the strange. Changes.